is Jon Jones calling himself? Somebody give me a clue. Jon Jones is calling himself something right now. The forever champion. The forever champion. I gotta tell you. Jon Jones had his last fight at Madison Square Garden. He couldn't do a goddamn thing right. I mean, when you're giving him a piece of the gate, just to put it in perspective for you, he skipped an interview that was on the books with Stephen A. That's just not something you do when you're selling a pay-per-view. I mean, I'm just sharing for you. And I say that not to insult him, to let you know he has been nothing but perfect since. Nothing but perfect. There was even an arrest that happened somewhere in there, right? There was something, and the pants down, and the police came. Jon has been so perfect in media, you guys might not even know what I'm talking about. I mean, he glossed right through it. This guy has truly been great. And he is now the forever champion. And that is awesome. I mean, I will tell you, as the linear champion, as the one guy that beat the forever champion, as the guy that injured Jon Jones so badly that he could not prepare for Tom Aspinall, those things mean something. And do you guys remember, I think it was Al Snow started this, but it was the hardcore title, WWE. And they took like a belt, and then they took tape and they wrapped it. It was like some kind of caution tape or something. It's wrapped around the belt. I mean, the belt it looked terrible. It looked like a Halloween project that a third grader did. And that's what it was designed to do. What if Jon grabbed one of his belts and he wrapped it like that and he starts carrying it around? He's calling himself the forever champion. I mean, there's something about this from an entertainment standpoint that is very fun. So Daniel Cormier goes on something called Shay Shay. Now, Shay Shay is short for Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp. Shay Shay. Kind of like that. Shannon Sharp has him on, and nobody can really talk to Daniel and about Daniel's career without bringing up Jon Jones. And Daniel is in this wildly difficult spot where he cannot discuss Jon Jones without saying, that was the greatest talent I faced. He beat me up. I have a hard time appreciating him as a fellow competitor because he cheated and was on steroids. That's just the story, the way that it happened. And it's not Daniel calling out Jon Jones. Daniel knew Jon was on steroids. I knew Jon was on steroids. This wasn't a secret. As Nate Diaz says, they're all on steroids. Like, this wasn't a secret. It was a very different culture back then. But Daniel's not the one that called it out. I didn't call it out. Nobody called it out. We knew, but that's not the way the game is played. You have to fail a test, and he did. And it was the commission that called him out. So, Jon responds. So Daniel answers Shay Shay. Shannon Sharp. I gotta tell you, I like that nickname. I really do. Could I do that? Could I be like Shay Shay? Anyway. So, Jon responds to Daniel responding to Shay Shay's question, which is just that, yeah, we guys fought, and this guy was awesome, and you know, he was on steroids, and that's going to stop me from putting him on my Mount Rushmore. I don't believe somebody that fails a drug test and is caught cheating sport can go down as an all-time great. That's the guy's opinion. And it's the guy that was kicked in the head and embarrassed and had a title take. I mean, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. So, not to mention, it's just the truth. Daniel's just telling the truth. So Jon responds, and Jon did a very good job. Everything, this guy, he's been red hot lately, and he says, you know, Daniel, I don't understand why every movie that you write, I automatically become your co-star. I was the state wrestling champion. I was the junior college national champion. I was the UFC world champion. I wasn't on steroids my entire life, and I still reached it to the highest of levels. I don't know why it's so hard for you to admit that I have God-given talents. So And you never know where the show starts, right? And reality begins. You never know. But to look at Jon, I think he was shooting. I think this was really how he felt. I don't believe that he was attempting to entertain. You've got to understand, to take steroids to get an edge and arguing that that's not what you did, that you had God-given talents, well, you just made it worse. It's more honorable to take the steroids. When you claim that you have a God-given talent, like there's no way around that. You now have divine intervention. It wasn't your punches and kicks or your hard work. That's what he's trying to say. What he was trying to say is I worked hard and I sacrificed. And I earned skills and abilities greater than yours. But it's not what he said. He used the wrong term. He said God-given abilities. Well, if God gave you them, you didn't even need to go to practice, right? So he used the completely wrong phrase, and even still to this day right now, has no idea he used the wrong phrase, because I've heard him use that many times. Don't blame my steroids. I have God-given abilities. Okay, well, the steroids you at least had to go to an alley and buy out of a brown paper sack. The God-given you were just handed? God just likes you to beat up men more than they wants to see you get beat up? The whole thing is very weird, but that's where it's baffling, and it's funny because it's not as though Jon is the first. I can't remember, was it Bonds and McGuire? Am I getting those right? That got hit, but then they wanted to make the same claims. Hey, wait a minute. You know, sure, it helped with recovery so I could work harder, but I only wanted to work harder because I'm so disciplined and I want it so bad and I sacrifice so much. It's like, man, it doesn't make a goddamn bit of difference. There's rules and you went against the rules and you did it intentionally. What are we possibly talking about? But there is a piece within the psychology that gets flawed, right? I mean, when you have a person that is willing to cheat sport, you've got a character flaw. And whether that came from wanting to be a cheater, or whether that came from an insecurity, a combination of both, we can at least admit that you have a character flaw. So, I don't know how far Jon could go. I don't know. I just know firsthand, people don't care at all. The fans do not care at all. And if Jon was to come out and say, I cheated sport, but I would have beaten you anyway, it'd just be a weird thing to do. The whole thing is very weird. But it's a colossally difficult situation that I'm noticing that DC is having to navigate. Where DC doesn't have a choice. Jon keeps roasting him. Every time Daniel answers the question, and everybody that has Daniel on asks him the question, so at some point it comes up, and DC, right? Daniel's got to answer the question, and that's part of the story, which is this dude beat me up, but he pissed hot. He cheated, he broke the rules. And Jon comes out and roasts him for calling him out as though he's speaking out of school. And I got to tell you, I mean, Jon wins almost every time, like in the court of public opinion. Jon was at a press conference and said, Daniel, I blew coke all weekend and I still kicked your ass. And it slipped out of his mouth. It was who Jon really is, but it's not how Jon wanted to be perceived. He did not want that line out there. He had lost his cool and this line came out and I was there and the building went crazy. They loved it. And Jon's even looking around. He can't believe that line worked. He can't believe that the audience would get behind that, right? He's up there talking about Philippines and all this. No, nobody wants to hear. I'm just sharing for you. It makes for an interesting situation. And it makes for an interesting psychology. And your forever champion is using it as a shoot. And he's got a hold of the right tool. He's just got it by the wrong end. And there is definitely an angle and a play here to stop with the denial and the picograms, go the other way, which is to tell the truth. I was so committed to my career, I was willing to cheat, which you weren't willing to do. But saying that God gave you the abilities takes away from your innate desire to talk about hard work, discipline. He used the wrong words. The idiot used a chemical synthetic to enhance his performance and then tried to attribute the performance to God. That is amazing.